Hello.
Hello, Lisa.
Hey.
Hey. Um, uh, Thank you very much for. I've been listening to your on YouTube, and I've been I've been I've been very much in resonance with what you've been talking about
Yeah.
for the past couple of months. I live in Pondicherry.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. And I used to go to non-duality meetings in at Arrowville.
Oh, yeah, with Anamika.
Yeah. Anamika and DTA.
DDA. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's very thankful for you for revealing these truth.
Oh, with pleasure. I find it
Yeah,
the most beautiful subject there is.
yeah, very interesting. I came to know about it. I think about 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and I had a kind of very strong and very bad experience at that time, and then I didn't know what was happening, and things were you know uh, turning around inside me, and then I didn't. I felt I felt I was not a person, not a person, coming in, going out, coming in, going out, and I didn't know what was happening, and it was a kind of sudden exposure,
Yeah.
and
Energetically, was it quite strange?
pardon,
Was it energetically very strange?
um, yeah, a kind of, I didn't know what it was at that time,
Yeah.
and I had to look for some help, and I thought I was reading Eckhart Tolle at that time,
Yeah.
and I thought maybe it was a result of these, and I wanted to know whether there was a meeting with Eckhart Tolle somewhere in Pondicherry, and then I bumped into this non-duality meeting, and there I started getting to know more about it, and then I could relate my experience with the non-duality.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you always talk about this empty and full, and empty and full.
Yeah. I'm
And
sorry, I just have to let my dog in.
when you say empty, does it mean that there is no center?
Well, yes, but right now, what is looking out of your eyes?
Um, what do you mean?
Um. Uh.
What? Just looking.
And is that empty or full?
Uh, it's it is it is it. I don't know.
Does it have any quality, the looking?
No.
But yet there's everything, it's full.
Yeah.
But it's so vastly empty. There's nothing there, there's nothing which is looking. There's not a point in which looking comes from. It's so vast. In fact, it's so intimate that you can't define the difference between the objects and the looking.
Yeah. There is no beginning and there is no end.
Yeah. But it's totally empty of
There is no
anything.
starting point,
Yep.
and there is no end point.
Yeah. And
There is no border.
it has no quality. It's totally empty of any quality, of any sensation, of any feeling, of any idea, of anything.
Yeah. It is as you say. It is just happening,
Yeah.
And is it an experience?
What, the looking?
Yeah.
Well, who would experience it if it was an experience?
Okay. So, because there is no center, there is no reference point, so there is nothing is looking.
Yeah. So is the looking an experience? If there's nothing there to experience the looking, could it possibly be an experience?
Yeah, but the body is an experience, isn't it?
Yeah, but looking is beyond the body. The body's not looking. The body's being looked at.
But the body, the eyes in the body.
Yeah, they're being looked at. No, but I'm not talking about eye looking. I'm not talking about looking from the eyes. Who is it that knows the eyes? Who is it that knows the body's looking? It's not the eyes that are looking. The eyes are a function of looking.
Okay.
But they're not the looker. Who's actually looking through the eyes?
There is no way to find.
Yeah. And it's nothing to do with the body. The body is being looked through. This aliveness, this radical being, awakeness, is looking through the senses. So you can't say looking's connected with the eyes. This awakeness is looking through all the senses to have an experience of being human. But what is it that looks through all the senses? What is it that knows all the senses? What is it that knows the feeling of your bum on the seat?
Oh yeah. Something that knows it.
Yeah. And that has no quality, right? It's totally empty, that knowing.
That has no form, no shape, no position.
Yeah. And yet everything is experienced. Everything is. In fact, you can't even say it knows the experience. It's just simply nothing and everything, emptiness and fullness. Life experiencing itself.
Okay, so it's a kind of, when you say empty and full.
It's simultaneous.
Yeah, at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. Because this looking, how is this looking removed from anything? How is this knowing removed from anything? How is this awakeness removed from anything? There is simply everything. It's not like there is awakeness that looks at.
Out, okay.
There is everything appearing, knowing itself, but as if it's looking through this body at itself. But it's not really like that. There is everything.
But that's the same with the hearing.
Yeah, the same with the hearing. The same with the feeling.
So there is nothing there.
No, there's nobody experiencing everything. There's nobody experiencing itself. The person that someone is looked through is an experience appearing in this. But the experiencer is totally empty and void. And yet it's all things. Its true nature actually is emptiness. And then it explodes into creativity and creates everything. It creates consciousness, it creates all things, it creates the knowing of itself. Like you can take it right down to emptiness.
So the person is empty as well.
Yeah. The person doesn't really exist. What's happening in every moment is lots of feelings, thoughts, sensations and energies appearing and memories giving the appearance that somebody's moving in time. But in actuality all there is this moment which is absolute stillness expressing itself as movement.
And that's the same case with everything else.
Yeah, yeah. Nothing actually exists. There's no reality out there. There is appearances in this moment, seeming as if there is a moving world and a life happening. But it's that one energy recreating in every instant, building itself up again. So that feeling
So
of you from the last moment and your feeling of you to the next moment isn't an actual you, it's spontaneously appearing in each moment, giving the appearance that it's you.
wow.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
This point here as well.
Yeah. You go around your whole life thinking you are someone.
And to feel that something is happening. Actually, nothing is happening.
No, nothing's happening, but yet it's appearing to happen. It's a contradiction. Yet it's appearing. I've got a red seat here, which my computer's on. I'm sitting on this seat, and it feels a particular way. It's like a dream. It's happening, but it's not. Life is experiencing itself, but also it's not. Nothing's happening. So there's nothing that's born, there's nothing that's died, there's nothing that's got, there's nothing that's lost. But yet it seems to. We have all these adventures as if we've got something, as if we lost something, as if we've built a life.
So is it or imaginary or a dreamlike? Or?
Yeah, dreamlike. I mean, imaginary, it's not coming out of a human brain. And it's a 3D, it's like being inside of a computer game. And it's set up on all these rules.
And there is no way to know it as well.
No. Because knowing...
Nobody knows it.
No, that knowing...
That you often say that.
Yeah.
Nobody knows
it. So that knowing, that aliveness, that awakeness, it inherently doesn't have knowing something. It just knows. Full stop. Knows.
Yeah,
everything just is.
Know.
But it doesn't know anything in time. It creates a human with a brain that can think about things in time, and that human believes what it thinks about is real. But actually these are just thoughts, a game playing, but they don't actually mean anything. Awakeness, aliveness, knows everything as this instant, but it doesn't have a brain. It doesn't remember, it doesn't think, it doesn't have an objective. It looks through a brain and gives that experience of a brain.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, it's simply knowing without anything to know.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't need to know, it's simply knowing.
Yeah. And then it plays the game as if it knows. So it looks through the human as if the human knows this is a computer or something's happening. But it's not a reality. This is just the dance, this is the game, this is the dream.
That's it.
So you know nothing. We're speaking and neither of us know, we don't know anything. Our essence knows nothing, but it goes through a filter which is pretending it knows something and pretending it has an objective reality.
Wow.
And it's so mysterious, this knowing, this aliveness, this awakeness. We can never look at it, but yet everything is it. That's all there is, but we can't look to see what it is. It's a total and utter mystery, but that mystery is the creation. It's so empowering. You've never been victim to anything. You, as that awakeness, are the creator of it all, but not consciously creating innocently. It comes out spontaneously, so innocently.
Yeah, because I have this I wouldn't say opening, or we say opening sometimes, like that, as you said, there is nothingness, and then all on a sudden, as you used to say, the contraction.
Yeah.
Like this. So when I used to get it. I've been getting it this kind of thing for the last almost 1 year now.
Yeah. This is it, waking up. It's because it's too much to take freedom all at once. It's too much. It's so free. It would destroy the body. So it seems to pulsate for a period of time. Depends on the body as to how long it pulsates for. And while you feel like a person, my recommendation, while you feel like a person, not that you are a person, but if you feel like a person, then when the suffering's really strong, something that's recommendable is just to put the awareness, the focus on the uncomfortable contractions. And this isn't about getting somewhere, this isn't about waking up, that world is all irrelevant. It's just, rather than just living up here and trying to think your way out of something, just putting it on the actual sensation of the contraction. And this way
it's kind of dealing with that kind of situation, that's all.
Yeah, but it's not about getting somewhere, because there is no you that can get somewhere, and it's not about this will lead me to enlightenment. These are all crazy thoughts and crazy way of thinking, but it's just a wise thing to do, to just move the focus, if you feel like you can move the focus onto those sensations and just sit with them for a while. And not running away and acting it out like most people do and trying to get more. But but again, it's not about getting to enlightenment. This is just a recommendation.
You mean we are already there?
Yeah, we're already there. But sometimes it can really,
all the time.
Yes, but it can feel like you're not there, and it can feel very uncomfortable. And rather than sitting there and saying it's pointless, there's nothing I can do, I don't exist, this is all pointless, where am I going to, what am I going to do? Just moving the focus onto that discomfort will just allow it to come out of the body. Because all those contractions, every contraction that you feel is indicating that there's something that's not true. There's something not in line with reality. There's somebody that believes it's separate. So just making just the awareness of that is going to eventually dissolve it. But again, it's not about getting. That's what the person's always used to. So then it hears this and it's like, oh yes, feel everything. I will get there. But it's not about getting. It is here. Yeah, it is here.
There's nothing to get.
You couldn't possibly grab onto it because it's the nature of all things. But that person in time gets carried away with itself and gets carried away with seeking and trying to get. And it can be very uncomfortable, the hearing of this and the waking up process. Energetically, it can be very uncomfortable.
Wow. Yeah, there is nothing to get because who is to get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had this kind of situation sometimes.
Yeah.
There is nothing to get. What?
But then the person comes back, and then you're like, whoo! Yeah, suddenly there's something to get again.
Yeah, it comes back again, and then it's wow.
Yeah.
And then what's happening? It's coming. The contraction.
Yeah.
Is sometimes very, very strong.
Yeah.
But it won't stay for a long time.
Yeah.
It goes out.
Yeah.
And when it goes out, then there is nothing.
Yeah, there is just it happening. But for no one, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's as you when you explained right today now. Yeah, it's just seeing.
Yeah.
And it's just listening or just feel, just touching, feeling. Nobody feeling and nobody hearing, nobody listening, nobody looking. Just this phenomenon.
Yeah. And it's totally empty and yet full.
Yeah, but there is no center point, so there is nothing to grab.
No.
No sound to get.
No.
No sight to see.
Nothing will add more to it. It's impossible. It just goes in and falls out the other side.
No. It's empty. Nothing is staying there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. And I'm in this kind of process at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. A kind of seesaw.
Yeah. I think a lot of people will feel like that they're in that. I think a lot of people feel like that, like they're in a seesaw. They have it, they lose it. But it's not really they have it or lose it or it comes and goes. It just feels like that because the energy, and then
yeah.
And it really is about that energetic movement. There can be all these intellectual awakenings, but it's when that energy explodes and then there's just completion. And it stops being centered anywhere and there's just completion there. Or
I'm not very intellectual that sense, so I don't intellectualize.
yeah,
And the thoughts, and for me, that is not a problem. And the thoughts are not coming at all.
yeah,
No thoughts, not much thinking.
yeah,
And I don't know which is the effect of this, or the thoughts are not coming
yeah,
these days. No thinking happening. And for example, remembrance and so on. That's, I cannot remember many things.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. I have that too.
Yeah, because there is nothing to remember.
Yeah. Well, it can be helpful if you've got to catch a flight or do some business, but it all happens.
Yeah, but the contraction comes, yes.
Mm.
That memory or remembrance come, but contraction is not there. It's just, as you said, empty.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I had a little bit of confusion but when after listening to you,
Yeah.
and I listened once or twice, Tony Parson,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and that helped to what you call to stabilize
Yeah. Yeah.
my understanding in some way.
Yeah.
And then I used to continue to listen to your YouTube programs. You don't come to Pondicherry sometimes?
I have done.
I remember
Yeah. I have done that.
I saw.
2 or 3 times, I
Alamika
think.
told me that you've been here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And you are planning to come again now.
Well, I did think about it,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
this winter, but I don't know. We'll see. I have to get someone to
Okay.
look after my dog. So she's just sitting
yeah.
here. Yeah, so I have to get someone to look after her. So that's always my my dance is when I'm thinking about coming to India. Because if you come to India, I want to come for at least a month.
Okay.
Because it's quite a long
And,
travel.
And another thing is, what about the feelings
Yeah.
in the body, and
Yeah.
how do we cope with that?
Yeah, well, it's different when you're waking up and there's that contraction and non-contraction. When you're contracted, the feelings are really held tight and become very important. When you're not contracted, then the feelings aren't very strong, or they can be very strong, but they can come up with great strength, but it's not contained inside a container anymore. The person, when it feels feelings, when you feel separate, it feels them and then it tries to escape from them, and by doing that it kind of holds them into itself, and it makes it very uncomfortable. Whereas when a feeling is fully expressed, it can be really intense, but it's not bound to something. The problem with feelings is the person thinks that happiness, joy, all the positive feelings are its completion. So when it feels happiness and joy, it's complete. And when it feels pain or sadness or anger or loneliness, it's incomplete. So the person lives in this rejection of negative feelings and this attempt to always maintain positive feelings. And it makes it really uncomfortable because it's trying to hold on to something it can't, and it's trying to push away something it can't. So it becomes this tense energy around feelings. And so this is why I recommend, when you do feel separate and you do feel contracted, something that you can do rather than the storyteller that's always trying to escape all the feelings and sensations, is just move that focus. Just take some time to move the focus onto those tight contracted feelings, because you'll notice that they'll be in the body somewhere. They'll be tight. They'll be tight behind the head or in the neck or in the heart area or in the stomach, and you'll feel this tight energy. And rather than keep telling the story of what someone's done or what happened or the worries or the fear, if there's just a movement onto the energy, it will allow the emotion the feeling to express itself more freely and pass through the body. But this isn't about someone getting somewhere, because even the movement of the focus isn't you. There isn't a solid person in time, but it can feel like that you can move your focus into areas of the body. And it's not about you getting somewhere, because who would get somewhere? All there is this moment. But like when you run a marathon, you have to move your legs to run. This is just I'm just trying to show people and teach people how to actually properly feel their feelings rather than to stay in the mental stories and add to the suffering about it and trying to run away and then holding it all in. Most people are so unhonest. I mean, what happens in the process of awakening is an absolute honesty begins to express itself. Because people are always about getting. They see love as getting. They see awakening as getting. So everything they're doing, everything they're saying is about getting that. Rather than just freely speaking in the moment and expressing what's happening in the moment, it's all about what you want the other to feel, what you want the other to see you as, what you want yourself to see you as. So you're always trying to maintain an image of yourself. And it becomes very tight in the body from doing this. Then as that person begins to relax and there stops being this tight contraction, then honesty will come. The body just says what it says. And if it upsets someone, then that's what it does. It upsets somebody. And if it's accused of, you've upset me and you've manipulated me and you've done that, then that's what it's accused of. You don't really know what you are. You're just honestly expressing what's felt in the moment. You've not got an ulterior motive. Although the body will have a motive because the body moves toward pleasure and avoids pain. But it's not about someone trying to make an identity out of it and trying to repress feelings or express itself in a certain way. So then when you stop being that bounded energy, then it's like everything feels like it comes from innocence. Everything's coming from that boundless place. Even if you're in an argument and you're arguing about something with someone, it doesn't mean that you don't necessarily have an argument about something. Sometimes it's really important to argue. There's a reason to it, or if there's anger or sadness or crying, but it's all innocent. It's not about trying to be something in time, it's just being in that moment, an expression happening in that moment. And although the body follows certain rules of moving towards pleasure and avoiding pain, you don't have this secondary image of trying to act a certain way in order to be loved, or trying to act a certain way in order to be seen a certain way. You see, this is how most people live their life, is by that motto. They don't even know what love is. They think love is wanting and pleasing the other person. And love is just being yourself. And being yourself, to me, is an expression from nowhere, just coming out without a second thought. It doesn't always make you the most diplomatic person and non-offensive person, but it's true creativity. And any artist or anybody that creates know their best stuff comes when they're not involved, when it just comes out. And this is what human life should be. Every impulse, if there's an impulse to dance, the body gets up and dances. If there's an impulse to speak, the body speaks. If there's an impulse to say, no, that's not okay, that's what the body does. It's not about looking enlightened. It's not about looking peaceful. It's being fully Lisa. It's being fully you. It's being fully human. It's not about a denial of being human. Huh?
The spontaneous.
Yeah. And this is being fully human. This is when it really begins to be integrated. So the human is acting, but not acting by an idea of itself. And then it's like you go back to being yourself, rather than the idea of yourself, rather than the fake person that's trying to be something in order to please someone, that's trying to do something in order to get something. It doesn't mean it's great at business, it doesn't mean it's great social skills, but it just is itself. And then by being that spontaneous freedom, by not trying to be something in time, then the body's fully prepared to let other bodies be like that. So if the other body expresses anger, it knows that that's what it has to do, and there's no resistance towards it. It just is spontaneous. All this life happening. And it's really important, this part of the human becoming itself. It's like the human falls back in love with itself. Although there's not someone there that could fall back in love with itself, it's like it stops rejecting any part of it. Because your essence, that looking, that empty looking, is total and utter love. And then everything that comes out of this human is coming from total and utter love. Even though it might not look like that to the other person.
Yeah, but the society, it's not the way the society taught us.
No, our society taught us
totally contrary.
Yeah, We've always been told we have to be someone, and this is what that someone has to
behave.
be like, look like, yeah. And this is
Yeah.
really radical. Like, it's really
Oh, wow.
beautiful. Just to be yourself, uncompromisingly.
The truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for me, when the contraction comes, I feel stronger, and everything becomes stronger,
Yeah.
and dislike, and
Yeah.
anger,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and irritation.
Yeah.
I get irritated quickly,
yeah,
and I think one of the reasons is that I feel that because that me now is getting scared
yeah, yeah,
and becoming weaker.
yeah.
So getting scared
And
about,
also, yeah, it's
about
true.
what's happening.
Yeah, and also it's got less barriers on it. So all these repressed pains in the body, all these repressed ideas come out more quickly. So it's like, so say you're
There's no
irritated.
defense.
Yeah, because say in a conversation that you don't want to be in anymore, because there's more sensitivity, believe it or not, there, even when you're strongly contracted, you can feel this irritation instantly with the conversation. Whereas before, you would just suppress that, hold it in the body, and stay in the head and try to think about what you're going to say back to them, or try to think about something. Whereas now those feelings are coming up more, that you don't want this conversation. But eventually what will happen is that that body will feel more okay to say, to move away from that, to change that. Whereas in the past, you've always been told you have to be a good boy, you have to behave yourself, do not be honest, never, ever, ever be honest. And so so that in the body, it's not a separate you, but in the body there's been these repressed ideas. And as there begins to be awakening, everything that's not true begins to show up. So not that irritation can't come about. I get irritated. Like Khaleesi can sometimes be a little bit irritating. Not very often though. I mostly find her very cute, but when it's like she's run off after a rabbit somewhere and you're trying to find her and it's raining and it's mudding, there can be irritation. But when that contraction's there, it's that irritation in a way is being kept in play because the contraction's being saying you're not allowed to be irritated. You're not allowed to be angry. You're not allowed to not want this situation. You have to want this situation. You have to be nice. And it's been pushing these things down. And the body's been holding it year after year of what you have to be like.
Yeah.
So I think as awakening happens and as that opening happens, then when the contraction comes, it's like a tight exposure of everything that's not true in that body. All those energies of not true. It's actually part of the waking process. It's like it has to become really intense just before it's let go. And there's these energetic blocks in the body. And this is why moving...
It's like a glow.
Yeah.
It's like a glow of the candle before it dies.
Yeah.
The strong glow.
Yeah.
I know that you're going to die, me.
Yeah. And the best thing that I think, well, you feel like you can move your attention, is just put attention on these contracted areas and explore them a little bit. Just put the attention, rather than trying to avoid it or do something to not feel it, just give it attention. And I think that allows it to move through quicker. But this is what happens to a lot of people, is this pulsing.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Oh, with pleasure. It was lovely to meet you and speak with you.